Le Mans Ultimate's December update is officially here, so let me take you through a bit of a breakdown of exactly what to expect from this, from the major changes all the way to the game updates and patch notes. Let's start with those major changes. So there's been improvements to AI tyre temperature simulation, resulting in a better correlation to player tyre warm-up. The large-scale memory usage optimization, resulting in higher FPS during more contested scenes. They've improved the texture loading performance with improvements of around 30%. They've added a new online menu. They've also improved the event lobby screen of all online modes. They've added the ability to host your own lobbies via racecontrol.gg. This isn't actually in-game, you will have to use a browser for this. They've added the online championships feature for Race Control Pro. That's the daily race feature, event access and practice for Race Control Pro. Talking of those, let's do the subscriptions, which I mentioned in my previous Le Mans Ultimate video, which I'll link up on the screen at the moment if you want to have a look at that, but I will give a bit of an overview on screen as I'm talking here. They've also added the HTML broadcast overlay system with WEC styling. They've done a fix for AMD memory leaks as seen in Update 2, Patch 1, Hotfix 2. Now for the DLC pack and the free DLC, because there is one free car that you get with this, which is the McLaren 720S LMGT3 Evo. But for the paid DLC, whether that's through the season pass or individually buying it, and that is the Corvette Z06 LMGT3R, the BMW M4 LMGT3, and the Ferrari 296 LMGT3, with also the Interlagos track as part of that pack 3. They also did a couple more things, the tyre and aero updates, so the edge on both tyre and aero has been softened, locking the brakes, especially at front, is now less easy. There's a little more grip at higher speeds and less aggressive drop-off when at or slightly over the limits. For tyre physics, they've adjusted the temperature warm-up curve to provide less grip at low tyre temperatures. They've adjusted the grip drop-off with temperature and pressure sensitivity based on slip, and there's a slightly less aggressive curve. Now for game updates. First of all, for achievements, they've fixed a day at the races achievement not tracking when completing races in the Porsche 911. For AI, they've fixed AI tyre logic, which would lead to AI always pitting the first lap after coming out of the pits in the damp conditions. They've reworked AI lapping logic on straights so they no longer aim for gaps that don't exist, being the other car gets out of the way. There's a fix for physics thread slowdowns when lots of AI are on a straight. They've improved AI settings so you can now set the aggression from low, medium or high, although I believe in game it says normal, which is meant to be medium, and this scales according to difficulty, and limiter is set automatically with this too. For cockpit displays, they removed the translations on neutral and reverse gears so that they show on non-English languages. For co-op, there's an update to allow restricted classes by event, and they've added support for limited vehicle availability. For driver labels, they've fixed the crash from driver labels when exiting the game. For graphics, they've adjusted the lighting balance as ambient was often too blue. They've also updated cameras to stay on board cars when returning to garage. For the HUD, they fixed the engineer message of 1 lap to go being displayed more than once. They've added ABS adjustability to the MFD electronics page. They fixed the 1 lap to go message often being shown wrong and added follow-up messages when the situation changes. They've improved the weather information on session MFD page, and they've also fixed the degrees character not rendering properly when changing FOV in game. For input, there's a fix for keyboard key combinations not working correctly from some users, such as adjusting the seat, mirrors or pitch. They've removed the steering torque capability setting, as this would often result in incorrect force feedback configuration. They've added the control mapping for ABS increase and decrease. For limited tyre rules, they've added the limited tyre rules for online supports. For localization, they've corrected some errors with the localization text. For physics, they fixed virtual energy lap counter calculation being incorrect when resulting to the garage after starting their first lap without completing it at Sebring. There's improvements to tyre physics to allow increase in slip related drop-off with cold tyres. There's fixes for real road drying line calculations were not working. They've reviewed the real road clearing off rubber in the rain as well. For online, they've added the future daily race cards. They fixed the join event button not refreshing after the event has started. There's a fix for post-race online results screen not showing. There's also a fix for viewing past event results always showing today's dates. They've updated the event countdown bar to countdown, not up. They've improved the handling of split and event cancel notifications. They fixed the finish position not showing up on recent event cards. They fixed the page not found error when clicking during event changeover, trying to access online event pages. There's a fix for 0 appearing on the standing screen in online racing monitor next to the session time. For race starts, they fixed the formation line issues on the full formation lap when safety car pits. They fixed a fast rolling start at Le Mans causing player disqualification when following starting instructions in LMP2 or GT car. They've also fixed inconsistencies in their race start guide causing drivers to receive penalties. They've also fixed a situation in which the formation user experience may break if the leader does not grid. For replay, they've fixed the stuttering and jutter when viewing replay with the replay UI displayed, and they've done a fix with a game crash when loading an old replay. For save and load, they've improved the robustness of save game format. They've fixed a car MFD value adjustment not being stored in the game saves. They've done a fix for full damage repair, always taking 180 seconds after loading a save game. They've done a fix for save damage not being restored when restarting stints. They've fixed some of the car setup settings return to default when loading a saved game. For settings and profiles, they've fixed some issues around setting screen resolution when monitors have changed. They've disabled ABS driving aid in-game settings menu when the current car is equipped with in-car ABS, so basically the LMGT3 class. They've added ABS map for car setup menu. They've done an update of the FOV keybind control so that the default sits correctly in the sequence. They've added anti-roll bar bindings to car controls. They've updated graphics settings page to force confirmation of unapplied changes when leaving the screen. For sound, they've done a fix for various issues surrounding headphones, including initialization, lack of bass response, and HRTF selection. And they've also improved the code support for ABS and the TC sound. For user interface, for full screen, when the game is in full screen window mode, the game will always be the active window, even though other windows are in focus on top of it. There's a fix for booting the game in full screen mode on an AMD, which will often crash or take a long time to boot. They've updated and improved car renders for in-game car select screens. They've updated the main menu order. They've removed the corner UI animations to improve CEF rendering. They've updated the tire compound UI colors, which match official WEC scheme. They've updated the damage simulation settings in advanced options to show fixed options rather than a percentage slider. They've also fixed online race notification overlapping page titles at the top left of the screen. For virtual reality, they've added a VR mirror option to graphic settings page. They've added VR related key bindings to the UI. They've added a configurable VR UI and HUD render size. There's a fix for undercar shadows only rendering in one eye. There's adjusted spectator camera clip panels to prevent clipping when looking around. They've added a VR specific HUDs. They've revised the PFX settings for VR and revised glare settings in general. The desaturate environment when in menus in VR. They've temporarily disabled motion blur in VR due to it only working in one eye. They've updated the VR default settings on first launch to 1920 by 1080 VR mirror and low PFX. They've fixed applying any display changes whilst in VR, causing the game to freeze. And they've also improved the UX around out of focus game window in VR by destructuring screen when the game isn't in focus. For voiceover, they've added a missing green flag voiceover at Le Mans. And now for track updates. So they've updated all tracks real road presets for better and more consistent grip distribution. For COTA, they've removed the collision from fueling rigs and updated back straight track limits to not allow red side aprons. For Portimao, they've removed the collisions from fueling rigs, fixed AI braking when switching to pit path, and fixed white line pit exit track limits detection not working. For Le Mans, they've corrected which side of the track pole position takes the green flag from. For Imola, they've corrected which side of the track pole position takes the green flag from, and they've also fixed the pit stands smoothing issues. For Sebring, they've corrected which side of the track pole position takes the green flag from. For Bahrain 23, they've corrected which side of the track pole position takes the green flag from. For Spa, they've updated the Spa Rolex gantry with Le Mans Ultimate assets. And now for car updates. So they've added the new AI tyre warm-up to all cars, the new traction control sound samples on all cars. They've adjusted the real road tyre physics sensitivity, so less grip delta as real road increases and less grip delta between rubbered and non-rubbered track surface. They've reordered the fill grid priorities for Hypercar Class 2024 season by championship order. They've updated the cockpit displays to ensure dashboard units respect user settings. They've added the ability to set all tyres in the HUD pit menu. They've added the CDA setups for Alpine and Azotta. There's a new pit limiter sound updates linked to RPM. There's a minor volume changes and bass adjustments for all LMH and LMDH. For the Porsche 963, they've added the second Proton WC livery. For the Ferrari 499P, they fixed track map not displaying correctly. They've also added the 2024 steering wheel updates, and they've updated the interior sounds with new engine samples. For the Cadillac V-Series R, they fixed a spelling mistake on glove texture. They've corrected the Cadillac number 2 LM driver lineup. They've fixed Filip Drugovich appearing with incorrect flag. They've updated the interior sounds with the new engine samples as well. For the Alpine A424, they fixed a number plate clipping with body. They've added a cockpit light to Alpine. For the Peugeot 9X824, they've fixed a missing blur on the hard tyre compound wheel spokes, and they've also fixed the 2024 9X8 to have the same seat adjustment to the 2023 9X8. For the Toyota GR10, they've updated the Toyota HUD with new graphics for speed and the battery. For the BMW M Hybrid, they've added a new steering wheel from Le Mans onwards. For the Oreca LMP2, there's a fix for lights not reflecting in puddles. For the Corvette C8R, there's a fix for extra lights come on when hitting the red line, and they've also updated the C8R GTE HUD with correct font. And finally, for the Ferrari 488 GTE Evo, there's a fix for idle sounds missing or too quiet. One final thing I want to sort of mention is, if you're new to the LMGT3, don't expect them to be a one-to-one comparison to ACC, because the LMGT3 is a bit different from the GT World Challenge GT3. They are a bit slower on the straights, for example. There's a completely different sort of aero and configuration setup package for them. So they won't be exact one-to-one for those people that are unaware, because there is a difference, although it is very slight. And that's it for your December update breakdown. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below. What are you liking? What are you disliking? And let me know if you agree or disagree with the added subscriptions on top of the added DLC for Le Mans Ultimate. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful and informative, and like to see more content like this one, make sure you are subscribed. I'll keep you up to date on Le Mans Ultimate updates and news in the future. I also cover other racing and simulation games on the channel, so if that interests you, you can stick around, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.